Over 40 million people globally are living with Alzheimer's right now, and that number is only growing. Now, what if I told you your everyday habits are quietly increasing your risk for developing Alzheimer's? In this video, we're breaking down the lifestyle choices that could be hurting your brain more than you think. Curious what they are and how to avoid them? Well, stick around, cause you need to hear this. So let's dive in. Number 1. Low quality sleep. We all have days when sleep seems to be optional, but here's the thing. If you develop a pattern of poor sleep, then it's doing way more harm than just making you groggy. How so? Well, science is indicating that chronic sleep loss or a poor quality sleep pattern can lead to a higher likelihood of developing Alzheimer's disease. Because while you're asleep, your brain is still working hard to keep your system clean. It stays up and reverses all the damage that it took while you were awake. The brain at night is also busy removing beta amyloid from your brain, a sticky protein that's known to accumulate in high doses in patients with Alzheimer's. So, a good night's sleep is much more important than it seems. And if you aren't getting enough sleep, then you're disrupting the brain's cleaning cycles, leading to a buildup which in turn hinders your memory and thinking ability. But it doesn't stop there. Low-quality sleep also raises inflammation in the brain and increases cortisol, the body's main stress hormone, resulting in increased levels of another protein known as tau. This protein tau, when there's too much of it, it can actually target and harm healthy brain cells, increasing the risk of you succumbing to Alzheimer's. So now you know that improved sleep isn't just about dodging a groggy morning. It's more of an investment in your brain health long term. So if you've been pushing sleep aside as something to get to later, it's time to change that. Number 2. Lack of exercise. Turns out not exercising enough isn't just harmful to your body, but also quite rough on your brain. Studies show people who stay sedentary through midlife and into older age face a significantly higher risk of developing Alzheimer's. In fact, a big review found up to a 45% lower chance of Alzheimer's in folks who stay active regularly. With regular physical activity, you make it easier for your body to circulate blood. This is crucial, enabling your body to clear away toxic proteins such as beta amyloid more effectively. And as if all that weren't enough, staying active helps your brain produce essential chemicals known as BDNF and IGF-1. These basically function as brain fertilizers, and they prompt the growth of new brain cells and new connections in the parts of the brain that manage memory and clear thinking. What hits home even more, though, is that lifelong habits pay off. One study tracking people from young adulthood into their 70s found that those who stayed active maintained larger hippocampi, which is the part of the brain that handles memory, even if Alzheimer's markers showed up. That translates to slower memory decline and better thinking skills as you age. So the bottom line is that making moving around part of your routine, especially from age 45 on, doesn't just boost your mood and metabolism. It's a strong defense for your brain, slowing down changes that can lead to Alzheimer's. Number 3. Excessive alcohol. A glass of wine now and then? You're probably okay. But when alcohol stops being occasional and turns into a habit, that's when things can get dangerous for your brain. Research shows even moderate drinking, say 14 or more drinks a week, can do long-term harm. Autopsy studies have found that those who drank heavily had more vascular brain lesions and a higher number of tau tangles, proteins directly tied to Alzheimer's compared to non-drinkers. And heavy drinkers were over twice as likely to have these problematic brain changes. Even people who quit heavy drinking carried higher risks. So those hangovers might feel temporary, but the damage can stick around. Some earlier data hinted that light drinking might be protective, but newer, more detailed research favors caution. The takeaway: no amount of alcohol is completely safe for the aging brain. If heavy drinking's in your past or present, it's smart to talk with your doctor about steps you can take, especially lifestyle changes like regular exercise, good sleep, and cutting back on booze. Want to give your brain better odds over the long run? Turning down the alcohol volume might be one of the smartest moves you can make. Number 4. Depression. Human emotions and mental health are very complex, and what's even more complex is how they impact your brain's long-term health. There have been many studies that have researched the link between depression and Alzheimer's, and some indicate that being in a state of depression boosts the risk of developing it. But how does that all work? During a depressed state, your brain generates higher levels of cortisol along with inflammatory molecules. This spike in stress for a prolonged duration puts a strain on your neurons and hinders optimum communication between your brain networks. And as it's known, depression can lead to social isolation or withdrawal, in addition to such unhealthy habits as less exercise and poor sleep, all of which can decrease brain health. However, there are also studies ongoing that discuss how treating depression early can protect the brain's health and even reduce the risk of dementia. So, treatment methods like therapy and medication, even some antidepressants like citalopram, can slow Alzheimer's progression by lowering the buildup of amyloid. Number 5. Social isolation. Feeling solo isn't just lonely, it can actually affect how your brain ages. Being socially isolated has been shown to raise your dementia risk by about 31%. One long-term study found that isolated adults saw 26% develop dementia over time, compared with just 20% among those who were socially engaged. So why does this matter? Hanging out and having regular conversations gives your brain a workout, like exercise for your mind. These interactions help build cognitive reserve, which keeps your brain resilient even when age-related damage begins. When you're isolated, this brain-strengthening workout just doesn't happen, and your neural networks don't stay as sharp. Isolation triggers more than just mental fuzziness. It's also known to raise stress levels, heighten depression, increase blood pressure, and inflammation, all of which are known to lower brain health. But reconnecting doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as calling a friend weekly, or even joining a book club or walking group. Even small steps really matter. Studies show that people with just a few regular social contacts have better memory and slower decline. So if your world has shrunk lately, try to reignite it, even a little. Invite someone for tea, take a class, or pick up the phone. Your mental health and memories will thank you later. Number 6. Smoking. If you're a current smoker or considering quitting, here's another reason to give it up for good. It is incredibly bad for the health of your brain. There's fairly clear evidence that smoking increases your risk of dementia to include both Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. In fact, scientists think that smoking potentially accounts for up to 14% of all dementia cases across the globe. But what exactly is going on in your brain when you smoke? Well, cigarette smoke contains high levels of toxins that promote inflammation and cellular stress. Over time, this damages blood vessels and brain cells, both of which are heavily implicated in Alzheimer's development. And it's not only the memory loss years down the road, it's what's happening quietly in your brain every time you smoke. Now, here's the encouraging part. Quitting works. Research shows that if you stop smoking, your risk of dementia drops, possibly to the same level as someone who's never smoked. The earlier you quit, the better. Even cutting down helps. Number 7. Not treating hearing loss in a timely manner. Struggling to hear, it's more than an ear issue. It could affect your brain. Midlife hearing loss is now considered one of the top modifiable risks for dementia, possibly accounting for 8% of the population attributable risk for dementia. Additionally, a study posted in the Lancet Public Health Journal showed people with untreated hearing loss had a 42% higher risk for dementia, but using hearing aids cut that risk back down. Why? Well, when hearing goes, your brain works overtime trying to fill in the gaps, all while you may socially withdraw and lose mental stimulation. It's like your brain crowdsources too hard, leaves less juice for memory and thinking, and misses out on healthy social connections. The result? Faster cognitive decline. The fix is actually straightforward. Get your hearing checked and consider hearing aids. They're non-invasive, effective, and they actually help slow down brain aging. Plus, reconnecting with conversations, big or small, brings joy and better brain health. Number 8. Chronic stress. Are you living with long-term stress? That constant pressure might be actually hollowing out your brain. When stress is chronic, think never-ending deadlines, anxiety, or caregiving, the body releases cortisol non-stop. Over time, those elevated cortisol levels damage the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, causing shrinkage and memory problems. And the data backs this up. In a cohort study of the total population in Region Stockholm, people diagnosed with chronic stress had a 2.5 times higher odds of developing Alzheimer's or mild cognitive impairment compared to those without it. And it's not just memory. Long-term stress fuels inflammation, weakens neural resilience, and speeds up brain aging. The good news is that stress is modifiable. Approaches such as mindfulness, exercise, social support, therapy, and improved sleep can lower cortisol and protect your brain. Number 9. High blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure in your 40s or 50s, you're at a higher risk of developing dementia, including Alzheimer's and vascular dementia as you grow older. It's like wearing away the plumbing of your brain. Microbleeds, blood vessel damage, and constricting oxygen flow lead to small vessel disease and white matter lesions, problems closely associated with cognitive decline. Thankfully, keeping blood pressure in check makes a huge difference. Studies show people with untreated high blood pressure have about a 42% higher risk of dementia compared to those with normal numbers. But if you treat it, that extra risk drops off. So if you're in midlife, don't brush off high blood pressure. A doc's advice, prescription meds, or lifestyle tweaks like eating better, moving more, and reducing salt can pay big dividends for your brain down the road. And number 10. Diet. What you eat matters a lot for your brain, and changes in your 40s, 50s, and 60s can pay off long term. Following diets like the Mediterranean or MIND can cut dementia risk by about 20 to 25%. A big study of around 93,000 adults showed sticking with the MIND diet led to a 9% lower risk, and improving your eating over 10 years dropped risk by 25%. So why do these diets matter? They focus on real, whole foods like leafy greens, berries, nuts, fish, olive oil, and whole grains, while cutting back on things like red meat, cheese, fried stuff, and sweets. This mix helps fight inflammation, keeps your blood flowing well, and protects brain cells. In fact, studies show it can lower your risk of dementia by about 23%. And even if your diet wasn't great before, making changes now is still going to help you. People who improved later in life saw significant benefits. And it's practical too. Think olive oil over butter, fish a few times a week, and a bowl of mixed berries for dessert. Swap out chips for nuts or fruit. These tweaks don't just taste better, they build stronger defenses for your brain over time. So now you know, your daily habits really can shape your brain's future, and you've got the power to change them. Which habits surprise you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to see it.